Okay, family, this is King Ajalan, Lord King Ajalan, the Ansubu, Lord African Minds. Welcome to another episode. Within this episode, we're going to explain some of the operations of Lord African Minds, some of the departments, give you some of the solutions, up-to-date you on some of the words that we created, some of the terminologies that we're going to use, and some of the opticals in audios, visuals, and opticals that we want you to think in and to see. We have a constraint what we call blue eyes. We got another constraint what we call Nubian eyes. We want you to see things from the Nubian soul. So we're going to give you some information on what we consider the Nubian soul. Also, we're going to allow you to have some feedback. We will look forward to your comments, your suggestions. This is for the Nubian souls. We know all black people are not black. We know some people are agents. We know some sabotagers. And so within the constraints of Lord African Minds, we got some symbolism that we want to break down. Hello, family. It's King Ajalan, Numa Kiwawa. Numa Kiwawa. Numa Kiwawa. This is a combination of two different polarities, two different continental peoples. One genotype, one ancient of days. Nu is from the Nuba, which we call Kemet, or Nile Valley, or Nubia. Represents the universe. Ma is the divine order. Ki is from our Asiatic brothers and our Native American brothers. You will say Ka in Kemet, which represents the soul. But there's different words in Kemet that represents the soul. So when we say Ki, we're talking about the strength. Kia, as they say in karate. Ki, as the Native Americans say, it's the what it resonates. It's the vibration. It's the frequency. It's the aura that emanates from the solar disk to sun. Wawa is, they have one word, Mapawana, Mapawawa, Nuamahu, Mawahu. You have Rara, you have Allah, you have Yahweh. And so in one of the Native American tongues is Wawa, which is a universal sound. We say that the universe made. Some people say Om, 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 Om. So we're not here to argue on which cultural pattern of the universal sound is the fact that we're implementing ourselves outside of the European digest, and we're resonating a different vibe. Numa Kiwawa. Me, the Queen Mother Goddess, which her rightful title is Lin Ma Rawa. We have Lord Atanura, and we have King Ajalan, the Ansubu, which is I, self. We have an organization which is Loyal African Minds. We have a curriculum which is Loyal African Minds. We have a way of life, which is Loyal African Minds. We have an enterprise, which is Loyal African Minds. We have a foundation, which is Loyal African Minds. And the reason it's been repeated and been said in so many different styles, because when you study logistics, tactics, and demographics, you have to have a common base. And so our common base is Loyal African Minds. Some people base is Black Hebrew, some people base is Rastafari, some people base is Moors, some people base is Nation of Islam, some people base is Nubian, some people base as Pan-African, nationalist, NAACP, Marcus Garvey, Christianity, Orthodox Islam, Sunni Islam, Shia, Ahmadiyya, Baptist, Methodist, Roman Catholic, Ethiopian Orthodox, Egyptian Orthodox, Abyssinian. We can go on in making ourselves into the vision. Some people are not black, some people are black, some people are not African, some people are. But what we're looking for is the loyal African minds. Not mine, but minds. So you have to have some loyalty to the African. But we're not talking about just in skin, we're talking about in your mentality. And so to tune us up, our tuning fork is Pneuma, which is the universe and the divine order of truth, balance, harmony, tranquility, right conduct, Ki, which is the right vibration, frequency, aura, strength, resilience, dedication, focus. Wawa. Wawa is something that runs through those who are true. It's that thing that cannot be named that you know you have. It's that part when they gave you Christianity and Islam and they gave you Hebrewism and they told you to come up under Abraham seed who came out of the land of Ur, which is in the Caucasus Mountains, which is in Turkey, and he met Melchizedek or Melchizedek, however you need to say it. There's more than one dialect to say it in. We ain't gonna get caught up in etymologies and linguistics. He was the king of Salam. He was the king of righteousness. He had no beginning, he had no end. Abraham had to pay tithes. He already had a kingdom established. Another way to say that is, when you come into a foreigner's restraint, they get to lead you. Okay, and so when we say the king of Salam, which is another way of saying Jerusalem, or which another way of saying Shalom, there's a place in Africa called Ascan, which we're talking about. Another place, it was Ethiopia, Abyssinia, ancient Kush, Nuba, Menro, Tamari, and we got many different names. The word Nigeria, before it represented the country, it represented the whole country. The word Zimbabwe, before it represented a country, it represented the whole continent. The word Angola represented the whole continent. Every word that the European used when he colonialized us represents a continent. So we ain't gonna argue about Akibalan, about Kemet. For you guys who are into the Israel and into Mecca and into Arabia, we understand that the European and Arab, he comes to change time, dates, names, and places. Times, dates, names, and places. That's what he's a professional at. We also understand in the European constraints or the Caucasian constraints of Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, you're not supposed to use your name. You got to change your name. You're not supposed to use your images because they don't want you worshiping false idols. A false idol to the Abrahamic faith is an idol which represents an ideal that is not theirs. So if there's going to be a false idol, it must be a true idol. The true idol, when you see a hammer with a gold tip, with a black handle, with a plate, a black plate with a little piece of gold, that's the goldsmith. So it is the silversmith, the brownsmith, the coppersmith. When you see a man with a bowl, and you see two young men in front with some sticks, and you see two women behind them with baskets, we know that's the farmer. When we see somebody with a mat, and we see some with like some straw, we know that's the mat weaver. And so on as with the carpenter and the engineer. Let's do this right quick, family. Before we get into the science, I just want to briefly bring you up to where we at inside the Nubian soul, how we're thinking inside the loyal African mind. The African spoke one language, symbolically, that we can understand. What they call statues, it says, remove not the statutes of God inside the Bible, inside his Old Testament. A statute is a principle, it's a procedure, it's a policy that must be upheld. So when they say we worship statues, yeah, we upheld certain procedures and policies. Well, since we didn't speak the same dialects throughout Africa, right? Whether you want to say Bantu, or whether you want to say Kiswahili, or whether you want to say the Piwa, or whether you want to say the Yoruba, the Hausa, we didn't speak the same dialect, but we had the same symbolisms, right? So we identified from the true idols, which is nothing but an ideal. So just like right now, when you go in front of their courthouses or you go in front of their government buildings, you see Greek and Roman statues all around you on what you call idols. You praise these things, but you disregard what comes out of Africa, because the European Abrahamic religion told you they're heathen, they're pagan, they're witchcraft. So getting back to the word, I wanted to break down some constraints to your mental outlook so you can come into the Nubian soul. When he said witchcraft, we know craft is a skill or a talent or a gift. So when he said witch, you thought about some hocus pocus, some abracadabra, because you didn't know his language and you just came out of slavery and you read his book, which was spookism. But if you take a minute and come into your loyal African mind, your African loyal mind, your mind loyal to Africa, you will understand that when he said witch, W-H-I-C-H, he didn't know what craft you was. He didn't know if you was an engineer or an architect. He didn't know if you was a goldsmith. So he said you practice witchcraft because he couldn't understand the crafts that you practice. When he said witch doctor, he didn't know if you was the mental health doctor. He didn't know if you was the herbalist. He didn't know if you was the massage therapist. He didn't know if you was a doctor of engineering, a doctor of science, a doctor of biology, a doctor of horticulture. So you have to understand that the European, the Asian, the Arab, they have nothing that you did not give them. Black man and black woman. Now, when you're part of the Nubian soul and the Wawa hit you, you'll find yourself speaking a language, right? It's called the language of the Holy Spirit, of the cosmic soul. It'll give you the key, power. It'll come from the universe, from the divine order. It will sing power, and you will wow yourself. You will be wild. And for you brothers that you say everything is pseudo, and you follow the scientific research of a European curriculum, I'm going to tell you this right here. Black man, black woman, who went into the European degrees of education, you've been indoctrinated. And it all leads to a filtering process. Every scholarly research, every department of studying that you receive your degree, they have set it up where you have to go before a board of one of your so-called peers, which are Europeans, right, to filter out what they don't need to lead to their global white supremacy, that you stay within restraints, right, that you make no discoveries outside of their system. That everything you do is monitored. You have no independent study. You must base your work off of one of their masters in order to receive your masters. So you've been constrained. So when you come to me and tell me that you got your education, we don't care if you have a PhD. We don't care if you were self-taught. What we care about is that you come with the right knowledge and that you let the universe and the divine order be full of strength, that we hear our ancestors to speak through you, because they built those pyramids. They built the Great Wall of Zimbabwe. There's still artifacts in the North and South American hemisphere, in Australia, over in parts of Asia, over in India, and throughout all of Africa.
Japan too.
That's why I say Asia, Japan, that they're just now discovering. And they see your bones, they see your skeleton, they see your archaeology, they see your anthropology, they see your artifacts. They see your DNA and your RNA. And so we're going to move in, for those who can catch it, your Nubian soul. We know all black people ain't black. We know some of you guys are incubators for this global white supremacy. Like when we hear the word Moors, they brag about that they brought the light of civilization into Europe. We know those are the same ones who helped navigate those ships and those slave catchers in Africa. You helped get the treaties going on with the chiefs to trick us out of our land and of our people, that you were right there because you are the black European. You are the Dr. Yaqubs. You are the one that the Africans kicked out, and you vowed to come back and destroy us because you couldn't rule. The word Moor comes off the word Amun-Ra, right? It was a group of people under the Amun-Ra of the time of Aten-Ra, right? When he brought us under the great antenna, that we would have one focal point. But we'll get into all that at another day. I just said that to spark some interest because I know some of y'all want to have some debates and some reasoning. I don't want to debate. I will go to reasonings though. Yes,
but remember earlier we spoke about raw. Now that you said raw, let's bring that in when we spoke about raw and what that means to remember.
We're finna come into that. I was opening the door to that from the Moors, the Amin Ras to the Moras to Moral, right, and to the Black Moors, right, to the Moorish Americans, and that everywhere around the world is Moors. But when you put the last A at the end of the word Moor, and you put an A in front, you got Amoral, which the Europeans dialect or the dialects outside of Africa didn't say Amin Ra. Saying that, this is how Amin Ra works. Let me give you an example of how Amin Ra works. Faith without works is dead. This is a circle. I don't know if you can see it. So, I don't know, is it showing up?
Why don't you try red?
The red was not working too good either.
Oh. Okay, they'll just have to visualize a circle.
Okay. Anyway, this is a circle, and we're all Aman. We're all Aman. Absolute matter operating nature. Ra is radiation activating. Radiating, activating. Radiation, activating. Radiating, activating. So when we are members of Ra. We are members of Ra. And we were all on the same thought pattern. Ra comes in the mist. He comes in the mist. She comes in the mist. He comes in the mist. Whatever way you need to hear, right there in the center of your atom Ra, in the center of the atoms, Ra comes to speak. And he sends this vibration up. We have what you call a community conscience. We have a cultural conscience. We have a custom conscience. We have a tribal conscience. We have a national conscience. We have a continental conscience. We have an earth conscience. We have a solar conscience. We have a galactic conscience. We have a cosmic conscience. We have an aqua conscience. We have a mineral conscience. This is who we are. This is why they call us the melanated people. This is the pineal gland and the pituitary gland. This is the third eye, the fourth eye. This is another way to say it. The Europeans teaches us that we have a conscience, meaning from nursery school or Head Start or preschool or kindergarten all the way up to PhD. He tells you what to be conscious of and tell you what not to be conscious of. America's the best place, the greatest country on earth. It don't tell you it's the greatest evil, but or the best place to do evil. But it just tells you that it's just the greatest country on earth. It doesn't tell you what goes with it, right? It's the greatest evil country on earth. Yes, it is. It's the best place to do all the dirt. That's why people believe their lives, but you can't do anything you want to. The word freedom means you have the freedom to go outside of the natural order of things. That's all he's doing. When he's bringing freedom around the world, he's bringing freedom getting baby suits, to look at pornography, to do child molestation, to do rape, to kill animals, to pollute the rap. That's what freedom is. What we want is liberation and liberty. So going back into what we're talking about, Ra. When we're all on the same page, it's all our consciousness. So the European teaches from whatever grade you start to whatever grade you finish about a conscience. George Washington, the Civil War, and all the crap that he gives you to be conscious of. He tells you you have a subconscious. Okay, that's a solar disk in the sky. There's a solar disk within this planet. There's a solar disk within all the living planets, or the planets that's in our solar system that belongs to this solar system. There's a fire inside us, which gives us what we call soul. At the bottom of your feet, there's the soul. Our people walk barefoot or close to the earth or walk in sandals made of earthly materials because the fire in the earth and the fire in the sky touching our head and that fire touching the planet causes a wobble effect. It causes a fire, which causes a jump, which causes a biorhythm, which causes a frequency, which causes an aura. That's why they call you black, but you really are sunlight. You're a condensed sunlight expressing itself. That's why we say Ra, we say radiating, activating. You're radiating and all you do, black man, black woman, you activating. So that's when we say I'm in Ra. We say among absolute matter operating nature. Meaning, you the black man, nature already has operating, right? But since you're the absolute matter, which is black, right? You operate in this nature. That means you talk to the water, you talk to the animals because you know that they are made of atoms. You talk to the trees. You didn't worship these things, but if we want to take the word worship,
So you say we communicated with it.
communicate.
Yes.
The word
And they
worship.
give it back to us.
The word worship means to investigate, to have reverence, right? And to be in harmony with. When you worship something, you make an inquiry, right? Which is your investigation. You give it reverence for what it is, because you can't, it does what it does. And then you come in harmony with it because it's around you. You must be in balance with it whether you want to or not. So when he said we worship things, me ain't talking about no hocus pocus like you worship your white Jesus and waiting for him to come back. Are you waiting for your Yahshua to come back? Are you waiting for Moses to come or Abraham to come? Are you waiting for Muhammad and the Mahdi and Jesus to come? Or all these things, Krishna and Buddha, all these things to come. We're just talking about that there's a fire in everything. It's called an atom. Atom is a fire. Read Stolen Legacy. It breaks it down. Okay? It's a fire. And when all these fires come into the same vibration, you're in your heaven, you're in your paradise, you're in your garden of Sudan. They want to call it Garden of Eden because they came and changed names, dates, places, and time. So we're looking for the Garden of Sudan. In the place of East Africa, there's a place named Isis Office, right? Which is just a reminder of the name, old Isis and the sword. Okay? Or it's a name place right here, it's called Ogan. It's a place right across called Aden. Right? They're on Saudi Arabia side. So we see right between the Red Sea is one place called Odan and Ogan or Odan, and the other place called Aden or Eden. So let's go back to this. Remember I told you it was 3 rivers, the Tigris rivers, Euphrates rivers, and the Nile. Well, what if they lied about the Euphrates and Tigris? What if there was what they call the Indian Ocean, the Ethiopian Ocean, right, and the Nile Valley? Because before there was Atlantic Ocean or Mediterranean Sea, that was called the Ethiopian Ocean. And then the other side, well, it was called the Ethiopian Indian Ocean. Or another name for the whole landmass of water that surrounded Africa, it was called the Kush. It was called the Kush. And then the Nile Valley was called the Hapa, which we get the word hypo from. They want to tell you we get happy from, right? But the word hypa, right? Since vowels didn't change, we get the word hypo, or we get the word, where'd you get the word hippo from? Or you get the word hydro, right? High. We get the same thing. Hydro represents water. So we get into those sciences later. We're going to go back to rock. So when we come together in the collective conscious, you understand your solar conscious, your earth conscious. So when you touch the earth, you become conscious of the biorhythm of the earth because there's a fire in there that jumps inside you, which puts you in harmony with it. When you let the sun touch you, it puts you in harmony with the solar system, right? Which the earth is a part of. If you take the H off of at the end of earth and put it at the beginning, you have the word heart. So since the heavens are nothing but all things around us, we can stop having earth and we become on a planet called heaven's heart. The third from the sun, 7th created with a heartbeat. Where life is at. We get into those sciences. We are in the Nubian soul, or in the ancient Nubian mystery science, and mystery only means my story. We teach the science of spirituality in the spirituality of science. Because we have spiritual sciences. And this is what we gave the world, where we travel. And it's for us to unravel. The Europeans say it's coded, but it's not. It's plain sight. You gotta use your loyal African mind. You gotta use your African loyal mind. You gotta use your mind loyal to Africa to get all this information. Tell you some good shit here. Tell you some good stuff. Well, we know these cuss words, right? Are not curses. We just know their vibrations to uplift you, to get your ear. And so every now and then, they ain't slipping up. They be used. Then the kids can hear them because they hear it on TV and the raps. They hear it all around them. That's when we teaching that because we know some of y'all looking for any reason to find an argument, right? And for you trolls, please don't comment. We only want the Nubian souls. This is not for you. If you disagree, go on. Do your thing. Okay, coming back. So, Ra. They say the boat of Ra is coming inside the Egyptian Book of Life, which they named the Egyptian Book of Dead, which they call the Mental, they call it Period Haru, or they give it assigned different names. We're not going to get an argument, family, for all you Egyptologists or you Kemetites. Okay, we just talking some basic loyal African minds, right? We know we got some scripts. We know we got some commonality. So as we come together in the conscience, Ra comes in the midst. Or they say in the Bible, we're all members of the body of Christ. Well, Ra talks about Ra boats and Ra's members, right? So the European takes us to a school to beat something into us for us to remember, right? So we won't come as a Ra member. But the fire in the earth and the fire in the sky, and that's the fire that's in you, and the fire of the collectives, it brings us in Ra membership. We become members of Ra. Ra becomes in the membership in the midst of us. So then we have to fine tune, right? And tune in and catch the tone, which the European changed with A-T-O-N, Ra, to A-T-U-N, Ra. He changed it to T-O-N-E. T-U-N-E, T-O-N-E, tone and tune. But on the walls of our ancestors, on the wall of our present self, and on the wall of our futures, because yesterday, today, and tomorrow we say we're forever the same. Don't go look for the ancients back in the days. Let them be in you today. Let them come forth tomorrows. We don't have no babies. We have the return, the Ra turn, right? The Ra birth, the Ra new. So when they ask you, do you believe in resurrection? No, we believe in resurrection. Do you believe in rebirth? No, we believe in Ra birth. Everything is Ra. We don't use a reword, right? So together we make a collective vibration, and Ra's in the midst of that. So you have to distinguish when your brother or sister is talking, or when Ra is using one of his vehicles. The body doesn't belong to you, it's earth matter, and Ra created it to house itself. Your job is to move your ka and your ba and your sa over to let Ra take over to speak through you, because he is hot, but he gave you a wheel. In the Bible, they talk about W-H-E-E-L, W-H-E-E-L-S, a wheel within wheels, a wheel within a wheel. But what we're talking about, W-I-L-L, W-I-L-L, W-I-L-L-S, W-I-L-L. Wheels within a wheel.
Is that when they say we have free will?
Free will is to move outside of the order, and that's what you do have. What they call the Lucifer effect, or the reptilian effect, or the Satanist effect, or the devil effect, that the Europeans came to introduce us to how to live outside of the divine order. So when he said we were born in sin, the word is sinna, which means ignorance. Right? The European was born in ignorance of the will of Ra. On the continent, we was born in the will of Ra, so we never knew how to lie because we had one conscience. Anybody who broke that conscience, what the European called voodoo or hoodoo, which was I do, we spot you out because we were in sync. So if